Oglądasz.
Dziękuję.
And we are live, and we need to switch into English. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 2021, our first energizing interview this new year. And my new guest is Alisa, my dear friend from Extraordinary Growth Academy. And I briefly introduced you, Alisa, in the post. I said where we met, and I said that I did have few readings done by you, and I think being a person who actually had few readings done in my life, I have to say that when you do your readings, you literally read with your whole body, your whole 100% you is doing the reading, and it's almost like art of reading. It's such an amazing experience. You're an amazing person with a big loving heart too, and you're always so compassionate towards your clients, and you always try your best to give as many answers. You never check your time. You always give as much as you can. So it's amazing. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for inviting me. It was super flattering that you even suggested this. And I also want to to everyone in 2021, yes. And I also feel like, it's new life, new energy. It's not just new year. I feel like it's a lot more than that. It's like new, yeah, exactly, new era. So everything is completely new.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it actually happened that Alisa is now living in my city in Poland, in Poznan, which is so funny. But I would like to start a little bit more, as per usual, with your background, because to be honest, when you told me yesterday, when we've been discussing the interview, that you never ever planned to become a tarot reader, that you actually been slightly even scared of doing the readings, and now you are like a tarot queen. Tell me all about it. How did that started?
Honestly, that's actually very crazy. Although now that I'm thinking about it, it makes complete sense. And the same as you said that I now live kind of in your city. It also seems strange, but on the other hand, it makes complete sense because I feel like this lifetime I have so much karmic energy and people from past lives. Definitely I feel like nothing in my life has been a coincidence whatsoever. And just a couple of days ago I uncovered one more element of my life. And because even my moving to Poland, specifically to Poznan, seemed well, I wouldn't say accidental, but it wasn't like 100%, for example, that I purposefully chose Poznan, or something like that. And then I discovered some element, about my natal chart and astrology, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that I was totally meant to be specifically here, specifically in the cities, so it was all, completely real.
Yeah.
It made sense. So when it comes to tarot, it was also basically the same. So my whole life I lived completely, being very, very far from the so-called fortune telling. I still don't like this term. I feel like this is not what I'm doing at all. But in the past, I would say that the energy, was different, and people were doing different type of work, I would say. So I feel like in the past there were more fortune tellers than actual, let's say, people who read energy or who help you develop spiritually or emotionally, at least in those areas like tarot reading or a reading, for example, from coffee or something like this. So actually the paradoxical thing is that my mom used to read from coffee. So, but I would say that in her case, it seemed a little bit more like actually fortune telling, I would say. And I remember that she told me that at some point she saw one of her friend's husband's death and blah blah blah, and she got so scared and she dropped it completely. So I had already kind of that feeling of like, oh my god, this is something scary. And then so throughout my whole life, I've never been interested in it, in tarot readings or in anything like that at all. I've always been interested in spiritual development, but I guess I imagined it differently. So to me, spiritual development was, I'm still to this second, I'm super interested in levitating. I'm like, when when I levitate, that would mean that I'm spiritual developed. I don't know why I'm fixated on levitating, but I guess I'm just really interested in flying. So this is my thing. Um, so yes, so I have been interested in spiritual development, but not necessarily in something like this. And definitely, I actually have never thought that I would be able to help somebody else. So I thought that I was just this client, who has been getting some spiritual guidance and help from others, but I never thought I could do something like this for somebody else. And then it started in 2019, and I remember it was very soon after my birthday. It was my 33rd birthday, and very soon after that, I suddenly, like, it felt like there was some kind of shift, and I started getting some guidance. I felt like my guardian angels or my guides, like they started leading me. And all of a sudden, I just started, I don't know, receiving different videos and some information on this and that. And basically, like one thing led to another. Yeah,
Truth bombs, yeah.
definitely. And I just accidentally, so to say, bumped into this video about tarot. Actually, the original one, the first video, wasn't even about tarot specifically. It was just about developing your, it was called Developing Your Magical Gifts. And since I love the word magical and I love magic in general, I'm like, yeah, of course I want to watch this. So I watched that, and I was like, that's interesting. And of course, when you watch one video, YouTube suggests you watch something else by the same person. And then I realized, the same person actually does tarot readings. And to be honest, like, I'll be honest, I was so afraid to watch this video. I was like, I don't know why, but I was just literally afraid to press the button. I was like, oh my God, if I watch this video, I'm sure something negative is going to happen. Maybe I'm going to get negative karma. Or I don't know. I was just afraid that something negative would happen, that it would be very scary. And I was just very scared. But then the curiosity was a little bit higher than that. And eventually, after doing several circles around my laptop, I was like, okay, I'm gonna press it. So, I watched the video and I was like, wow, this is completely different from what I had expected. And I watched several videos by the same person, and
do you remember who it was?
Yeah. I still watch videos by the person. So her nickname on YouTube, her channel is called Gem Goddess, or that Gem Goddess, something like this. I really like her videos. I think for me at least, they have been very accurate, even though these are general readings, theoretically, but they've been very accurate. And I would say, I just like her energy in general. Mm-hmm. And so then I watched, ultimately, I've watched about 4 people. And I decided to compare, if they're also positive, or maybe some of them are some negative people or whatever. I kept being scared, like, for quite some time. But then the more I watched, the more I realized it's not fortune telling at all. It has nothing to do with this. It's a completely different energy. And I felt like it's a completely different generation. And so it's a completely different goal and aim and intention. It's a completely different level whatsoever. And so, for whatever reason, people used tarot cards or any of those readings in the past, this is like a completely different story. And now this new generation, these young people, they use these cards exactly for spiritual development. And so when I realized that this is exactly the same thing that I've been doing this whole time anyway, like all along, and it's just, it's the same thing. These are like two sides or many sides of one coin. I thought, wow, of course it's not scary at all. and
Yeah.
I and I must admit, there was this moment. It was like, I would say, a very decisive moment for me, which finally gave me the answer to my eternal question that but at that time I had. I always was struggling with this question: do we really have free will in life, or is there still some kind of destiny, so to say? And I always was
Question.
and because in my life, it previously it had seemed like everything was just predestined and like I didn't have any choice and things like that. But there were other people who kept saying, you just need to think positively, you just need to think positively and your life will be happy. And I was like, I don't know who to listen to, like I couldn't make up my mind. And then when I got to these tarot readings, I finally got like 100% clear result. And it actually came to me at first, not in the actual answer, but I just realized it by basically trial and error, because I watched those videos, several of those videos, and then I rewatched some of those videos. And let's say I had a worse day, and then I had a better day. And on the worst day, in the exact same video, in the exact same reading, I would choose a different pile, because usually you have like 3 or 4 piles to choose from, and you choose one that you resonate with at the moment. And so for example, on a worst day, I would choose a pile that would tell me that, oh, something negative is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then on a better day, I would automatically resonate with the pile that would tell me, oh, your life is going to be brilliant, blah, blah, blah. And then I literally saw it, how I was literally shaping my reality with my own energy. And I was like, oh my God, of course.
Yeah, absolutely, because everything is reflection of us. And you know what I sometimes I laugh when I laugh literally when I do my readings, because sometimes you shuffle and you tell the client, please concentrate, please set intention. But it is important, but ultimately the picture that you're gonna get, it's still the picture that you're supposed to get, because it's just a hologram and it will be adapted to your inner energy, right?
I completely agree. Yes, sometimes it's like I'm a little bit nervous, for example, and I'm like, oh, I hope I definitely get a very clear answer for my client, blah blah blah, and then I'm like, of course I'm gonna get a clear answer. Like what other answer could I possibly get? Of course, this person's energy is here. Obviously, it's gonna be
Yeah.
100% specific for that person. Yes, always.
So would you agree to say that this whole life, this whole reality is actually co-creation? Because we can't deny that even though obviously cards or our reality is reflection of us, there's still this higher element, the one that connects us all, that have some destined situations in our life, right?
I'll tell you how I view it. I completely agree with this. I guess I just see it a little bit more still as being myself, so to say. So I feel like basically when we're in this human body, I feel like our conscious part, so let's say our ego that is here, is co-creating with our God part.
Higher self, the part that is a God. Yeah.
And so, and I feel like our higher self, definitely before coming, into the physical form, definitely had like a major plan, like a
Yeah.
general intention for this life. But I also noticed that even if, for example, your higher self had some plans for itself, right? Still, you can change it. So let's say, for example, first of all, you can always just reset everything, and you can say, well, actually, I decided not to go according to my plan, and I decided not to fulfill my intention, and I resign. I feel like this is totally possible, to be honest. This is my feeling.
Yeah, I
Um,
do feel it too, but I know that in if you
usually it
decide
doesn't
to make
happen.
that, you actually go against the against the force, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And many
obviously.
different things may happen then.
Yes, I agree. I agree. But I mean, like technically, I feel like you have the right.
You
Uh,
have the right, absolutely.
this is the
Well,
freedom.
listen, if you don't take this lesson, you're gonna get another and another chance to take this lesson anyway. So there is no skipping.
But also, I noticed that, for example, let's say your intention was to learn the lesson of, I don't know, forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, your soul or your higher self decided, okay, you're going to go through 10 people who are going to betray you. And this will lead you, to learning how to forgive. But for example, if you were able to learn how to forgive after the third person, for example, then you don't need those seven more.
Yeah.
And so this way, I feel like maybe you'll meet one or two more people who will be like an extra test, so to say. Like, did
Yeah,
you
because we always get those extra, yeah, just to make sure that we definitely got it.
exactly? But I don't think that you would have to do, all 10, so to say. So this is how I see co-creation. So for sure, I do believe like there is some general plan, but it's not like it's fixed and like you don't have any influence on it.
Yeah, no, definitely we do. We are constantly creating 24/7.
Yes, and I feel
Absolutely.
like we're still in contact. It's like, to me, even for example, in our dreams, I feel like we're always connecting with our higher self. So our conscious self and our higher self, we're always going hand in hand. And I feel like there is always this um, verification. Like, I think so, that our higher self checks up on us all the time and is like,
Yes,
okay,
yes, yeah.
how was today? Do you want to verify anything? Do you want to change anything? Like, how do you want? So I feel like this planning for tomorrow, for example, or for the next steps, I feel like it's still going with you. Basically, this is my feeling.
Right. I totally agree. I totally agree. But I wanted to also ask you because you mentioned that before you've been an English teacher, and
Yes.
then you just told us how it came about that you decided that you got interested in tarot reading. And once you got into this, tell me how did that changed, influenced your life? And what were your first experiences with your clients as well? Because that must have been a life-changing, moment too.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I just remembered one more interesting aspect of it. So, like I say, to me, like to my conscious mind, this whole journey into tarot seemed very surprising. And I was like very confused at first. And I was like, me, really? Blah, blah, blah. But now that I'm looking at it, from distance, from certain perspective, I feel like it completely makes sense. And the interesting fact, like another element of my life, turns out that my grandma, so as my mom mentioned, my grandma actually used to do tarot. And apparently she was very good at it.
Mm.
And it was also, quite not quite surprising, very surprising, because these were communistic times in communistic Russia, where religion was banned, everything was banned, nobody was allowed to do anything like that. And all of a sudden, and she was like a very pragmatic, very logical type of person. I would say like having a little bit more like masculine energy, like that, like very realistic. And all of a sudden, I learned that she actually used to do tarot. I just couldn't believe it. My mom also said that at some point she just stopped. I don't know why. So that was, maybe she also got scared of something. I
Maybe
don't
she
know.
sees something.
Yeah. But it was just, so I felt so much resonance. And to be honest, so when I got into tarot, I at some point, I kid you not, I felt that my grandma's spirit is one of my guides.
Well, she probably is.
And I was just, I didn't actually see her, but I just knew that she was around. I have this like clear knowing.
She clearly gave you a gift for your 31st birthday.
Yes, that's what I thought. And I keep feeling like she's helping me develop on this path. So definitely, I feel like maybe she's one of my guides who is literally like teaching me and guiding me in that direction. So that was a huge, thing for me. So that was it. But when it comes to, yeah, English teaching and tarot, once again, to me, it's at first it seemed like these are completely two different worlds. There is nothing similar about it, and I thought, oh, of course, being an English teacher is, it has nothing to do with tarot reading. And also, I felt like, when I got into tarot reading, I thought, oh, I've never done anything like this before. So I felt like I didn't have any experience, blah blah blah. But surprisingly enough, when I got into it, I started discovering that in reality, I have been doing some of these things for years.
Mhm.
And I just didn't realize that that's what I was doing. So, for example, when it comes to teaching itself, at some point I started doing videos, and I discovered, not specifically related to tarot, but generally like to emotional and spiritual development. It's about different epiphanies that I come to, and then I share them with people. And I realized that my experience as a teacher helps me a lot convey the messages.
Absolutely.
And I was so surprised. I was like, oh, actually, it goes hand in hand 100%. Also, very recently, it took me, I must admit, it took me a while, more than a year, but I recently discovered that I've actually been channeling for people for years now. And I just didn't realize that that's what it was, because during my English lessons, I usually had one-on-one lessons, not because I specifically was looking just for such lessons, but just because it magically just happened like that. And I almost always had students who were much older than me. So these were, mature men and women. And usually there were those situations where we would speak English, of course. And then, for example, if we were practicing speaking, I would ask them about something, sometimes just how their day has been, blah, blah, blah. And then they would tell me something, they would share some situation, maybe some dilemma that they had or some difficult situation, blah, blah, blah. And I was able to lead them on that. I was able to give them some advice, some guidance. And I would often get this question like, how is it that you're younger than me, but you can help me with this? I'm like twice as your age, for example, and I still haven't figured it out, And recently, even one of my students, who's still older than me, she also said, "You're such a good psychologist." And I was like, wow, thank you. So I was getting all of this feedback from those people, but I think I was never really taking it this seriously, or I could never really see it as something separate. I just saw it as a part of English lessons. And I guess I thought that, of course, everybody conducts English lessons this way. Like, how else can you do it? Well, in reality, I realized at some point that no, not everybody conducts English lessons the same. And so, and I kept having, my students, they would come back to me for years. And I remember that there was this another moment of epiphany for me when one of my bosses at the language schools where I worked, she actually told me, she said, I don't know if you realize, but you're the only teacher who had one-on-one students for several years. It has never happened like this. Like, students usually don't go to courses one-on-one because they're usually, they're quite pricey, right? So they don't usually prolong lessons for so many years. They keep wanting to come back to you. And I was like, wow. So that was also the moment when I started recognizing the value of something else that I was giving people. And so the more I was getting into tarot, the more I was, and I would say the more I'm still recognizing that
Mhm.
I've actually been doing lots of these things for years. It's just, it was difficult for me to distinguish it, I guess, or to define it, to name it, and to say, okay, I can do this and this and this and this. But now that I'm literally analyzing it bit by bit, I realized that, yeah, so even though at first it seemed like it was a completely different story for me, from English lessons to
Yeah.
tarot readings, in reality, I'm now discovering that it's like the same thing, same kind of same old,
You're
same.
still a teacher. You're still a teacher.
Definitely. I'm still a teacher, and I realized, I mean, I've always known that I loved it. I just like wasn't sure if I was supposed to stop just at English, or because ultimately I felt like I could teach pretty much anything. Like whatever I learned myself, not only was I able to teach, but I loved teaching. I just love passing
Passing
on
on the knowledge.
knowledge, information to people. When I learn something practical, I'm like, oh my God, people, you have to know this too. I got this epiphany. You need to know this because I just know that it's going to make your life so much easier and happier that I
Mhm.
just can't hold it in me. I have to share it. And in the past, when I wasn't so active in social media and the internet wasn't such a thing, let's say, I just kept torturing my friends and my relatives, constantly calling them like, did you know? Oh my God, did you realize that this and this is possible? Or I just had this epiphany yesterday. Did you know about this? And all of these things, they were helping to those people. But of course, it was like on a smaller scale, obviously, right? But now I decided to become a little bit more active in social media. And I'm like, of course, I want to share this information with as many people as possible, because if that changed my life, if
Mhm.
it created, this effect in my life, like, I'm like, oh my God, this is epiphany, then of course, I feel like it's going to help somebody else. So definitely,
Mm.
this is something that I love. And you asked me about my first tarot client.
Princess with clients, yeah.
I remember one of my first and still favorite client has been Dominika. And I remember, yeah, I remember that reading. And
Mm.
I remember that I loved reading for you. I think I even told you this. I don't remember if I told you this explicitly or not, but I definitely felt it that as soon as we, met, um, even though it was online, I immediately felt very strong energy from you. And I was like, wow, this is powerful energy. There's like, so even though this was like one of my first readings and I was still like a little bit nervous, I was like, oh, I hope.
If you wouldn't tell me now that it was one of your first readings, I would never guess, because honestly, that was such an amazing reading, such a professional reading. I didn't realize it was one of your first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I did practice before that as well. But I would say, yeah, more on my like relatives and my friends,
Mhm.
on myself, of course, a lot. So I was already kind of a little bit prepared by then, but I would say you were, I guess, one of the first external people. I would say, one of the first people I didn't know before. And so that was like, I was like, oh, I hope I do this reading accurate and blah, blah, blah. And then when you switched on, I was like, oh, of course, this reading is going to be accurate. Her energy is so strong. There's no way to make this,
Oh,
reading inaccurate. So yeah, and I loved it. And I noticed, especially when you do a reading for a person like you, or basically for people who are generally positive, it doesn't mean, that every person who comes to a tarot reading has to be in the best mood and always super high vibe, because obviously
especially that
sometimes
a lot of people come to a reading when they do have problems, right?
exactly, exactly, like why else would they come, right? So
Why
of
is
course,
he not calling?
yeah. So of course, I mean, some people come out of curiosity, let's say, but it's a little bit more rare. Um, so it doesn't mean that you always have to be super high vibe and everything
Yeah.
else. But if generally speaking, the person is generally more positive, let's say, there is always this greater ease of conveying this energy. And I feel like during the reading, it's not just the reading that I do. So it's not just the knowledge that I pass on, but it's also the energy. So
Absolutely.
the energy,
Absolutely.
and I feel like along with the client's energy that goes up, my energy also goes up, and I because it's coming through me anyway,
Mm.
and so I feel
You
like
know what I have to say when I said that you are reading with your whole body, that's what I kind of experienced visually when I had my reading with you, because you could feel this whole energy moving
yeah,
through you, and you were going into like this trance when you've been doing this reading, and you were so unstoppable because, as I said before, there may be some readers who, for example, you buy 20 minutes and you have 20 minutes, and that's it. Whereas with you, you always give your whole self, your whole best, and you make sure that the client, receive as much as possible. So that's,
yeah.
amazing.
I'll be honest, I am a goal-oriented person. So if a client comes, with a certain goal, with a certain question, I'll try to make sure I give as much as possible, or as precise answer as possible. So it's true that sometimes, if the person is not meant to know certain thing, so for example, when I say not meant to know, I mean that if this person's higher self actually, so
Mhm.
not some external forces, but this person's own higher self or their guides or angels do not want them to know something at that particular moment, I will not get an answer. So it happens sometimes. It happens very, very rarely, but it happens. It's true. So then I respect that, and I then just openly tell to this person that I'm sorry, but I can see that you're not supposed to know the exact answer at the moment. Let's say, but usually. It's not a problem. Usually I get the answers, and then yes. So I'm gonna can I keep digging until
Yeah.
I give the full answer? And so yeah, I do. I think you're right. I do feel with my or I do read with my whole body,
Yeah,
so
your
to
whole
speak.
self. Yeah, it's like an art of reading. Seriously, it's amazing. I'm actually quite surprised now when you told me it was, one of your first readings last year. Amazing. Um, I wanted to ask if we can really predict the future, but I guess you answered that with the question when we've been talking about the co-creation. As such, future does not exist, but I guess we may have, infinite number of outcomes, with the future. It depends where you put your attention to, right? Because you
Yeah,
create with your own beliefs. So what you
it's a
basically
very good
believe.
question.
Yeah.
I love that you asked this again anyway because
Yeah.
yeah, I want to get this message across really to people because it was an issue for me for a long while. So I'm glad that you're you know drawing attention to that. Yes, I do feel like we are creating our own reality, and yes, our future keeps changing all the time. So absolutely, yes, like you said, where your attention goes, energy flows. So if today you're focusing on everything yellow, you're going to receive yellow tomorrow. If today you're focusing on everything green, you're going to receive green tomorrow. Because
Or in
I'll
more dramatic way, if you today and last week and last year you've been focusing on the luck, you will get luck, right? That's
exactly.
something that really, really people need to get, that they need to focus on what they want, not what they don't want.
Yes. And you know what? I'm going to give you a example. So I've been wanting to do a renovation in my flat, and I was like, I still haven't been able to fully do it as I imagine it in my head. And yesterday I was talking to someone, and I was telling this person about how I was buying this flat, and I told that person that I literally manifested this flat, and I had very specific things that were very important for me. I knew exactly the area of the city I wanted to live in, but it was actually funny because I wanted to live in that area, but I still, at the same time, I wanted to belong to a district of the city that was a little bit like in a different area. And then at the same time, central heating was very important for me. I didn't want to have like any gas heating, blah, blah, blah. And like, just I had like basically a list. And the craziest thing was that I manifested this flat with all these things. And even crazier thing about this is that, yes, I do eventually live in the area where I wanted. And I don't know how it is possible geographically, but that area does belong to the district that I wanted to belong to, even though geographically speaking, it's far apart. But
Right.
I don't know how it works, but so I even was able to manifest that. And then and so I was speaking with the person yesterday, and I was like, but I guess I still haven't kind of manifested, doing the renovation so that I live in a palace yet, so to say. And then I thought about it for a second. Then I was like, of course, because originally when I was focusing on buying this flat, I didn't think of manifesting a palace. So of course I don't live in a palace. See, it's just that at that time, it didn't even come to my mind that I could live in a palace. I thought I could only live in a usual flat. So as a result, I live in a usual flat. But now that I realize that, actually, I can live in an unusual palace. So from now on, I can start manifesting living in an unusual palace. So it's not, because sometimes we look outside and we're like, if we really create our reality, then where is the proof? Well, this is the proof. I was
so many proofs. Sometimes I have to tell you, sometimes I do those tests on the universe, and not such a long time ago. And it just shows how specific you need to be when it comes to manifestation.
Yeah.
One day in the morning, I thought, okay, let's do a small test. Obviously, I'm going to go for something simple, something very light, easy to gain 100% belief to manifest. So I said, I'm manifesting a red flower. And I just imagine getting a red flower. I sent my gratitude. I could feel within my physical body that it was 100% belief because it just sinks in within your heart. The next day, my son comes back from school and he grabbed something out from his bag and he's running towards me. He said, Mom, it's for you from school. It was a drawing, right? But I just, I took it, I put it away, and then I thought, hold on, show me that drawing. What it was a red poppy. So I said a red flower. I didn't specify what kind of flower, if it was a real flower, but that was my red flower.
Yeah.
Then my son did two amazing manifestations recently. He came to me during the lockdown. He was very bored, and he asked me if we could do a claw machine. Claw machine, the machine that you put sweeties in, and then there's a claw that takes things out. And I thought, oh my God, how on earth I make a claw machine? And I can't remember what I said to him, but I said, you know what? Maybe lockdown will end, so we just go to some, fun park or something. We will find you the claw machine. I ignored it. He left it. But in his heart, there was a deep desire of having a claw machine. And then my brother sends in a box for my son, which was like a mini science box, things you can do at home. And what it was, a claw machine. Then another manifestation, he told me he wants a camper van, the old-fashioned camper vans, the Volkswagen one.
Yeah.
The round-shaped camper van, so we can all go on holidays, just put all the bags.
Oh, a real one, so not a toy.
No, not a toy, normal camper van. And he was even showing there is a family living quite nearby, having one of them, beautifully renovated. And what happens next? He goes on a beach with his dad. And so I'm not sure if it's happening in the whole UK, but on the beach he found a stone. The people are painting stones and they are leaving as a souvenir. And you can pick it up, there's date and who made it. And on top of the stone, I have it here, there is a camper van. Exactly the camper van that he wanted. So I was like, my God, you're such a great manifestor, right? But it just shows how specific you really need to be with those manifestations.
You're right. Exactly.
Obviously.
And to be honest, what I noticed from at least my experience so far, so for example, I realized that at least by now, I've been more successful at manifesting things, especially big things, valuable things, when it's a little bit like life or death situation, so to say. So, because when there is this, you just really need this, like it's either, life or death situation, or at least it seems to you so, then the level of this resistance, the level of those limiting beliefs, resistance, etc., it drops significantly, because you're like, I don't care how I'm gonna do it, I just am going to do it, this is it. And so when you get into this energy, then you it's kind of like, at least for me, it has been like this, that I am able to go higher, and I'm like, I don't care about anything, no obstacles. I see no obstacles. I just see my goal, and I'm gonna receive it, exactly by my deadline, because this is how it was with my flat. This flat, I had a very short period of time within which I needed to find a flat. And I felt like, oh my God, I don't want to be homeless, so I need to find a flat fast. And obviously, I wouldn't become homeless, so ultimately I would find some way out. But in my mind, it was just something very important, and it felt like life or death situation. And so, yeah. But for example, sometimes when things are smaller, and they don't seem so life or death, then sometimes I notice that some resistance comes up, because you feel a little bit more relaxed, and you're like, oh, I don't know, if I don't manifest this, well, nobody will die. but but this is, of course, I guess this is something that you could call a plateau. In English, actually, there there is a level of knowledge which is called plateau. This is the situation where your student already can speak English pretty well, or basically enough to convey most of whatever they want to say, and they stop developing further, because they don't feel that challenged anymore, right? Because ultimately they can send their message. And I feel like with manifesting, of medium things, or of a little bit easier things, or things which are not like life or death, it's a little bit like that as well, that you can get into this plateau moment where you're like, well, generally I can manifest. Also, I don't feel challenged enough, to try harder, so to say. And so this plateau can be a little bit sticky, so it needs a little bit more effort to still go higher and to challenge yourself. But obviously it's possible.
I guess it all depends what kind of goals in life or ambitions you have. And then once you really truly not only know, but truly acknowledge that you are the manifester and you are manifesting 24/7, not always consciously, and you grab this responsibility finally
Oh,
for your life, that's when you kind of, oh my God, let's look around. What's going on here? What have I, created here? And
yeah.
then it depends on where you are with your life, really. Sometimes through our negative belief system, we can really, really, push ourselves into a dark, dark corner with our life, and really um, mainly experience some negative emotions, situations, relationships, and things like that. Whereas if we had slightly easier start, less karma to carry on,
Yeah.
we just feel comfortable with our life, and we don't really feel like there is a need for change, and we just carry on with the belief system that is working well for us. It's just when we really feel we want to shift something and we want to start consciously creating something else, that's when it becomes slightly challenging. But then again, if you really want something to achieve, if you want to achieve something, you will do it.
Absolutely. I remember that when I was growing up, I feel like I had lots of challenges in my life, generally speaking. And sometimes I would look at other people and I'd be like, well, why is their life so easy? Things like that. But then as I was also growing up and developing emotionally and spiritually, I started noticing that you can never compare people's lives eventually. because everybody comes, like you say, with different intention for a different, with different goal. And sometimes you don't even know what's better or worse, to have a difficult start, for example, but then be really prepared for everything in life, or to have an easy start, but then when something really challenging happens, the person doesn't feel prepared, and they sometimes feel, because it's their, let's say a person gets their first challenge in life at the age of 35 or 36. Everything else before that was extremely easy for them. And then all of a sudden, being a mature person, they suddenly get a huge challenge. I can't even imagine what it feels like. It must be a huge shock. And sometimes, because I've seen such people, and sometimes they even openly say, they're like, I've always had everything so easy in my life. I don't even know how to deal with this now. Like, I don't know what to do. They don't even know what techniques there are, what strategies they can apply, and things like that. So you
Yeah, I
can.
totally agree. Alisa, I'm going to have one crucial question for you at the end, but before that, tell us a little bit more what kind of services you have. I did add your Facebook link to the post,
Oh, okay.
but we can repost it in the comments again. If someone would like to come to you for a 2021 reading, what are your services and what can you offer to them?
So I'm definitely offering tarot readings, but also right now I'm kind of attaching to that guidance and support. So you can also call it channeling ultimately. Basically, what I can do is I can look with cards, usually, let's say, at your current situation, where you are at the moment, what is happening. Sometimes people can't even define exactly their problem. They just come and they say, oh my God, everything in life is just falling apart. I don't understand why. So I can see what is happening, why this is happening, where they are, etc. So I can, let's say, define the issue, see it. I can see what they're manifesting right now, for, let's say, the upcoming future, potential future, of course, because you can always change it. And then I can see what changes they can or need to take if they want to change their reality for the better. And I would say my specialty, so to say, is well, first of all, I can really clearly explain everything. This is my teaching aspect that comes up. But then, yeah, like my specialty, I would say, is that I can really inspire people. So I can, because I have the ability to see people's potential very strongly. And when I see it, I just can't be silent. I can't be pretending like, oh yeah, you're just a usual person. No, no, like I've never met a usual person. People are so amazing, and they have so many talents, and they have so many possibilities and so many options, that especially when I see it through cards, but I sometimes can just see it even through that person's energy and through just talking with them. I'm just so amazed that I'm like, oh my God, you just have to do this. You have to take the challenge. You have to do. So I can definitely inspire the person to take further steps. And then if this person needs some further, assistance, some further guidance, some additional ideas, I'm definitely good at that. I have a lot of life experience. And I can definitely tune into the person's energy and into the person's situation.
And she's doing that very well.
And so I can really, I would say, give advice. Of course, it's always, the person decides if they want to take this advice or not. So ultimately, they choose whatever they want to do with their life. But I can present them with some options. I can give them some strategies, some ideas. I can give them examples, and I can help them. If I, at some point of my life, understood something, if I got some epiphany in a similar area of life, I'm able to somehow pass on my epiphany to that person. And so then they also get this like moment, when they're like, oh my God, yes, now I see it. So I am able, I guess, help people see the same situations from different perspective, find, let's say, non-standard solutions to standard problems. I would put it like this. So
Amazing.
yes,
What is the cost of your reading? The
uh,
whole reading?
yeah. So if it's a 1 hour reading, it's well, it's
It's never 1 hour, but yeah, let's say 1 hour.
Well, yeah, let's say usually the standard 1 hour is £50. Sometimes, for some people, they need just very short readings. Then it's, let's say, up to half an hour. Then it's £35, and this is it. But if a person really wants to get some more help, usually 1 hour, I would say, is the optimum. And then when it comes to those further sessions, basically I would say it's the same. It would be £50 per hour, but then if we do it in a row, let's say as a package, the price would go a little bit down, depending
Amazing.
also
What an
on,
amazing opportunity.
yeah, depending on the number, of course, of the sessions, and how much support this person needs. But ultimately, I just want to say that I really love people.
I know.
I love people. I love communicating with them. I love giving them advice. And I feel like there's nothing better. Like the greatest feeling of satisfaction that I get is when I see that I was really able to help that person, and that person really got some results, because I'm really goal oriented. I'm like, yes, I gave advice. I gave some inspiration to that person. I saw something about this person. I saw their potential. They took the steps, and they were able to achieve results. And when I get this feedback, I'm just going even higher. So it's extremely rewarding, I think, to work with people.
And you are again such an amazing and loving soul, and it's just a pure pleasure, to have a reading done with you. Last question, Alisa. Did you take any time, take into account that we are going through a very specific period here on Earth, did you take any time to do any like collective reading? Did you look into cards, what awaits in 2021?
To be honest, I haven't done it yet. Somehow, I've been a little bit resistant to that. I think I need to also work through some of my personal resistance. Although such thoughts came to my mind several times, definitely on several occasions. So far, when it comes to, for example, my YouTube channel, so far I haven't been doing collective tarot readings. But I am thinking about this, so perhaps I'm going to get into this. But if you want, maybe we could hold on. Maybe we could, let's say, draw, I don't know, like random 3 cards and see.
Yeah, why not? I wanted to ask, but you were faster, which is amazing. See, what a connection.
We're on the same wavelength for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see. For 2021, something general for the collective. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Okay, I understand.
I have goosebumps. I'm not scared.
No worries, no worries. I usually also look at the back of the deck energy.
I know, yeah.
And so back of the deck energy usually shows something that is happening right now. So the energy of, in this case, of the collective at the moment. And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, it makes complete sense after 2020, because this is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is someone who is a little bit protecting themselves, guarding themselves, guarding their heart. Theoretically, it's like a little bit like a snow queen, a person. It doesn't have to be a woman, of course, right? But generally, the energy is of someone who is let's say, has not just boundaries, but has some guard up. This is a person who has their guard up, and who is a little bit afraid to let anyone or anything closer. So I feel like after 2020, and I mean, literally, today's just the 4th of January 2021. So we're still coming round after the end of basically after the whole 2020. And so I feel like we might still have our guard up at the moment, being like, oh my God, I hope the next year is good. But I can see, so the 3 cards that I picked are pretty much positive. So the first card is the King of Pentacles, which is one of my favorite cards. I completely and totally identify with it as well. So this is the card that represents basically wealth, wealthy person. And also, since it's a masculine energy, it's a little bit like, more action oriented, let's say, or a little bit like more masculine. So it can be showing us that many of us might become entrepreneurs, self-employed. Maybe we'll start our businesses. Maybe we will just become prosperous, wealthy, and a lot of money is going to come to us. So this is about the energy of a boss, a person, by the way, who took responsibility for their life. It's not someone who just, got money from somebody else, from the government, from, I don't know, somebody's helping them, whatever, from charity. No, it's a person who says, I'm the boss of my life and I'm going to achieve my goals really well. So this is our energy, let's say, for the collective. And then the next is also one of my favorite cards. This is Ace of Swords. And I love it because, my name actually comes from Greek, Alisa. And in Greek, so the original version in Greek is Aletheia, I think, and it means the truth. And this card, and generally my personality is that I'm very truthful. Sometimes people get a little bit irritated by that, but I feel like the truth is the most, or one of the most important things in life. And this card literally talks about the truth. So on the one hand, it because it's a sword, it can also represent, cutting something off. So maybe also cutting off some negative things that we no longer need. But also it's about some opportunities coming to our life that are honest and truthful, that don't give us any crap, let's say, or, some unnecessary things. This is not anything false, nothing like that. This is reality. This is honesty. It also can be something like the truth coming out. So if we had anything hidden, or if we didn't know about something, or whatever secrets, let's say,
That was a lot.
yeah, some things can just come out. But ultimately, it's always for the best. So there is always this thing as, sometimes something might seem challenging, but eventually it always has our best at its heart, let's say. Mm-hmm. This is a very good card. And it's also a card of success, definitely success. So once again, here you have financial success. Here you have maybe also some great ideas. So these can be some very good ideas connected with business, for example, business ideas, right? And the third card that I see here is actually the Two of Swords, which, again, as all cards, they have usually several meanings. But here I would say, I would rather say that it represents a choice. It can also represent somebody who has their heart closed, a little bit like here. Yeah. But in this case, I don't feel it that much, to be honest. I would rather say that it's more about a choice, because it's like you can go this way or that way, right? And you're not sure what to choose. But to me, to be honest, I see it as a positive sign here in this context, because to me, it shows that you have a choice. It's not like you don't have any options. You might be having a dilemma, should I go right or left? But you do have 2 options. It's not like you have 0 options. And I feel like having options is always better than having no options. So when it comes to this, to me, it looks like 2021 is going to bring us a lot of abundance, a lot of great, probably business ideas, a lot of success, and a lot of possibilities, so that we will be able to make a choice of how we want to spend our further years. So this is what I would say. I would say it looks very positive to me.
I like the truth card the most.
So that it comes out.
Yeah.
It can be, sometimes it can be that it's a very honest conversation with somebody. And like I say, sometimes truth can be a little bit difficult to process. So sometimes it can be irritating. Sometimes people might be a little bit defensive, and they might be like, oh, I don't like hearing this. I don't want to know, blah, blah, blah. But eventually, it's very important to face the truth. So either way, it's always ultimately about success, your highest potential and your success.
Great. All righty. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Alisa. It was so lovely to have you as a guest. It was so lovely to see you again. And
I'm always happy to see you.
and if anyone needs an amazing, very detailed reading, tarot reading, but an intuitive reading and a guidance from Alisa and her spirit guides, we will leave links. I mean, there is a link in a post, but I'm going to leave it in a comments. And if you could leave a link to your YouTube channel as well, that would be, great for future if you're going to be uploading anything more.
You're absolutely, yes. Actually, I'm going to be uploading a very, very, very vital video very soon. Of course, it is something that I've gone through myself, as always, and so now I want to share it with other people. But basically, it's very easy because both my Facebook page and my YouTube channel, they have exactly identical titles. So it's Alisa's Transmuting Tarot. So if you just type this title anywhere, you'll probably end up finding me. But yes, I will also...
Links are probably better, so they can just click. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Edita, for your presence. Thank you for your comment. And thank you, Alisa. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much for joining me and for letting me be in your energy. I just want to say a few words about you, because I think you are an amazing channeler. I think you have so many talents. I feel like you're a healer, you're a guide, you're just a great, amazing light worker. And the way that you can uplift people and really, believe in them and really help them see the great aspects of themselves, like a mirror, so to say. I can definitely tell you that I think you've been the first person that I've met like that.
Oh, thank you.
And I wanted to say that at the beginning, like I said, you were one of my first kind of, unknown clients, right? For who I was doing the tarot readings. And I remember that because you gave me the feedback, and I remember that feedback was so vital for me. And after that, I was like, yes, I can definitely do this. I should continue. It's not that I just like it. It really helps other people as well. And you were actually, I would say, like one of the defining factors or defining people, who really helped me believe in myself even further and keep continuing. So I feel like literally, if it wasn't for you, probably I wouldn't be here. At least not today. Maybe it would take me 2 more years to believe in myself.
Definitely not. Definitely not. You would be there. But thank you so much for such a kind words. Thank you so much, Alisa. It means the word.
I'm absolutely very, very grateful to you. And I honestly feel like you deserve so much. Really the best. So really the brightest light I've ever seen.
Thank you so much. We are all bright lights. Sometimes you just don't know it.
True.
Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you, Alisa. God bless you all. Have an amazing evening and see you soon. And honestly, go and have a reading with beautiful Alisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dominika.
Thank you. Thank you.